Hello everybody, I'm Autumn Aldrich and this is part 1 of my 2021 bullet journal flip through. Many of these pages have actually not been seen by Instagram, so this will show the full setup of these past 4 months. The yearly theme for this setup are flowers done in the Archer and Olive acrylograph pens. I honestly don't really use yearly pages too often, so there isn't really a lot to see. Starting off, I have my cover page, my key, and my at a glance page. Next up is my feature log that I never remember to update, and the next page are my goals. My 2021 goals page is a big giveaway that I never refer back to these pages because I can definitely name off some goals that I absolutely did not achieve. Last off in my yearly setup, I have my vision board. I'm still pretty happy with this page, not only because of the design, but because I actually did a lot of these things already. Boom, now we're on to the months of the year. Overall, January was a pretty good month for bullet journaling for me. I tried out a bunch of new systems, so I was able to see what was working for me at the beginning of the year. I don't think I've ever really spoken a lot about my monthly pages before on Instagram or anywhere else, so I guess I'll explain them now in my flip through. My keeping track of stuff page is basically just another way of saying what's stressing me out this month. This functions a lot like a brain dump page, except that there are actual categories that are there to organize my notes. Next up is my monthly tasks page. It's pretty straightforward since I have little categories for each of the tasks that I have to do, and then each week. It was useful for planning ahead, but I found that I never really referred back to it since I used my weekly spreads instead. And flipping to the next page, I have my content planner. This page is also pretty straightforward since I just track what I have to post on each day and tracking my follower count. This page had already been working for me for a few months, so it's pretty much stayed the same since then. And lastly, I have my one good thing page. This system has been in and out of my bullet journal since I always forget to update it, but it came back eventually as my highlights page. This was also the first month that I strayed a lot from my main theme and began doing individual weekly themes. As much as I like this light bulb theme, I found it really fun to come up with a new thing to draw every week. Not only did this make bullet journaling more fun for me, but it also made it much more interesting for my Instagram audience. I also just remembered that this was the first month I began doing consistent plan with me reels for Instagram. Alright, now we're on to February. This is definitely not one of my favorite themes I've done. I knew I wanted to do a letter theme, but I didn't really know how to execute my idea. You can also see that I never actually got around to adding a quote to this spread either. My February monthly setup consists of my calendar, notes page, and all the other systems I used in January. If you look closely at some of the monthly pages, you can see the different color schemes I tried and didn't really like. Eventually, I just settled on pink instead of having a few colors in the theme. I'm honestly just glad I didn't test out the colors on the cover page. Even though I didn't like this monthly theme, I'm still very happy with how all my weeklies came out. I tried out a bunch of new themes and tested out new headers and new color schemes. This was also around when I hit 3,000 followers on Instagram. Next up is March. This was a bit of a different theme, but I'm still pretty happy with how it came out. This is very inspired by an old video game called Myst that I played a lot with my mom over quarantine. If you like graphic adventure puzzle games, I'd definitely recommend checking it out. March was also supposed to be my YouTube comeback month. I stressed myself out the entire time and came out with one 3-minute video. I'm really glad this comeback is already doing much better than last time. For my March monthly setup, you can see that I switched up my systems a little bit to fit for what I had planned that month. For example, I started planning out more for YouTube, so I decided to extend my content planner. I also shortened my monthly tasks page since I wasn't really using it that much. This whole spread is a prime example of me forgetting to update my monthly pages. Like February, I'm also very happy with how all my March weeklies came out. And if you've seen my reels on Instagram, March marks the beginning of the AJR era. Looking back at my March weeklies, I realized that most of the songs they feature are from AJR. I even hid some lyrics inside the cover page. Lastly, there's April. For this month, I drew some things in my bedroom like fairy lights and houseplants. This is probably the only month where I like the calendar more than the actual cover page. Much like the calendar, I also put more effort into the monthly pages more than usual. I tried out a few new systems, and update, they honestly didn't really help me out at all. Mixed in with my weeklies, I have a room reorganization plan that I forgot about the entire month, and a non-dominant hand collaboration I did with my friends. I really wish I could say it was fun, but my left hand hurt a lot after putting together the page. And lastly, I have my 10,000 follower Draw This in Your Style that I based off of AJR's The Click album cover. And boom, that concludes the first 4 months of my 2021 bullet journal.